meeting. Um, Basically, what I wanted to cover is a police reform, and Delvin and I believe Marcus may be on the police reform committee, and I have the police chiefs on as well, just to kind of discuss where uh, the reform committee and the city is at right now, and kind of give us a briefing and see if they need anything as far as financially or anything that we can do to help as a council, because we'd like to, some input on it as well. So I'm going to kind of leave the floor to Delvin right now, and he can kind of brief us on what has been taking place the last couple of months with this committee. Go ahead,
Absolutely.
Delvin.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman. I'm going to Marcus is on, so after I go through some of these, then Marcus can kind of explain the process and stuff like that. Tomorrow is going to be a very interesting meeting. It's when we're going to be deciding the civilian oversight of the police. So I'll kind of leave that for later on because I'm sure you all might have a lot of questions about our current proposal. But what I sent to you all was just a synopsis of some of the reforms that we have recommended thus far, and then Marcus are kind of going over, how we got to where we are. Right now, it stands at nine reforms, and I gave a brief description. I don't know if you wanted to go over each one, but I sent the brief descriptions of what each one is. But just so you know, it's first one is to establish a crisis intervention team. We want to increase and enhance implicit bias training for the officers, familiarize recruits with the neighborhood. I think that the 5 years that they are required to live in the city will help to do that. So we wanted to put a greater emphasis on that, not just living here, but really familiarizing yourself with the community. Mandatory community service events following a hire, to kind of emphasize the familiarizing themselves with the neighborhood. Rotate officers through community outreach, recruiting efforts, increasing those, and we have some more recommendations about that. Training to resolve language and hearing barriers. Um, I know some folks on the committee wanted to discuss some of the language barriers amongst new Americans. We are a very diverse city, so that was one thing that brought up. Work to establish green light districts. that is one in particular that I recommended, which is a similar to the green light districts in Detroit, Michigan. Um, Mr. President, if you could pull up the other document, I think that might be better because it has the descriptions.
Okay.
Dov, you can explain what a green light is?
Huh?
You're going to explain what the green light district is?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I can explain that now. So the idea is in Detroit, they have these districts and businesses. So they offer three particular categories actually. So they have businesses can sign on, corridor, which is a group of businesses, or districts, which is basically subsection.
Was early, the one in the middle, the email that was sent in the middle.
Okay, I'm on now.
It's districts that are designated by the city. So essentially what it is it's cameras, but it's also lighting and signage that says this is a green light district. It is monitored by the Utica Police Department, and the footage of this will be directly shared with that. The reason why it's really was targeted originally at businesses is because it kind of goes back to the intent of that surveillance camera legislation that we're working on. If you can get the businesses to sign on with you to say, we'll share our surveillance information, the city gives them a green light, a nice sign that says this area is surveilled by the Utica police. It in Detroit, what it was is that we've seen a deterrence similar to the surveillance camera legislation that you and I have been working on. So the goal is to kind of create these, not just in places like Cornhill where we see an uptick of crime, but if we can get green light districts in places like the downtown hospital in the downtown area, it might make folks feel a little bit more safe, as well as let people know that this area is heavily monitored by the Utica Police Department. You also might have seen that Melissa sent out a proposal from the Youth Council about blue light districts or blue light systems similar to the colleges. where, you know, if there's something going on, you know, we have various phones around the area where folks can pick up the phone, and it directly is linked to the Utica, to the police department. So I think that between the green light districts and the blue light system that the youth council is proposing, that somewhere in the middle we can kind of have this network of spaces that we have designated to be high needs or really meriting more attention from the police department, and kind of blast that as kind of like, you know, a deterrent of crime. The ninth thing is to add adherence to procedural justice policy and perform reviews. And the 10th thing is, which I did not send, but I probably should have. I'm sure Marcus has it up. He can talk about it. Is the civilian review board. The working name right now, we have a meeting tomorrow. It is a proposal by myself, both chiefs, and the mayor, to be called the Civilian Public Safety Board. You might note that that does say public safety and not just police. It is because while not necessarily direct oversight of the fire department, but the auditing model that the proposal suggests, we don't want to limit just to the police, but if there's ways to improve all of our public safety, we did not want to leave them out in improving right along with the police. So Marcus is the chair, so I'll let him chime in a process and any other things, and then maybe Councilman DeBringo might open it up for questions on some of the briefs for each recommendation that was sent out.
Okay, so, you know, what Delvin went through it by, I wanted to be clear, these are all drafts right now. Until we finalize a report, none of these are final. So somebody could go back and say, I hate this idea, I want to adjust this idea, I want to go back. That's why we haven't released the report to the media, because we don't want to promise something that we don't deliver on because it gets overturned later on. But we wanted to be open with the council and let them what we're doing. So the governor gave us 18 specific areas he wanted to look in. So when Delvin talks about green light districts, that's environmental policing, right? So we went through all of those categories, broke them down into 4 categories. We're through 3 of them now, and tomorrow is the 4th, which is police accountability and transparency, which that's going to be a contentious vote because Delvin talked about the chief, the mayor, and him came up with a proposal. And there's somebody on the committee that submitted a dueling proposal. So we're going to have a little battle over that. But the plan is, you know, tomorrow's meeting, if it goes well, could be our last sort of rulemaking policy meeting. Then we got to unveil the plan to the media. When we unveil the plan to the media, we need to go to public groups, a certain amount. We haven't decided how many yet or what dates, and ask them to host meetings so they can ask questions and give commentary. And then, you know, we can all have that commentary to revisit the report if need be. At that point, you know, it's all public. The Common Council is there in the public. They see the draft report. It's 50 pages right now. They see how we got to where we got. And they can hold their own public hearings if they want, if they want to suggest agencies that are willing to host us. You know, I'd be glad to show up, and whoever else on the committee can make it. So the process was designed to get to the public at large for comment. There's other ways we've sought public input up until this point, but it was designed to get to the public at large for comment once we had something to work off of. We didn't want just an open-ended discussion that, you know, didn't get to the 18 points the governor wanted, because, you know, some of the points are more interesting to the public than others. So we got a draft report almost ready. We need tomorrow's meeting to figure out, you know, there's a couple more proposals regarding transparency on the floor. And we really need tomorrow's meeting to kind of figure out, okay, what are those last touches? And then, you know, make the document public and let's go. I mean, we've so far all the things that are in the draft report were passed unanimously, and they're done with the police department, the community, and the council in mind. We don't want to give you guys something that we don't think you're going to pass, and that's been a big part of our argument. So yeah, I'll take any questions. Delvin, take any questions. Deputy Chief, you know, it's up to you, Councilman.
Okay, thanks. I just want to give Chief Noonan a chance to speak on this behalf. And then what I'd like to do is go from 1 down to 9 and just, we'll go through each one. And then if anybody has any questions, they'll direct them to, obviously, you three fellas. So, Deputy Chief, you have the floor.
Sure. Thanks, Councilman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't really have a lot to add. I want to echo what Councilman Moody and Marcus said. It's been a pleasure working with everybody. Marcus has done a fantastic job chairing this committee along with Dr. Webster. The recommendations that have been brought forward, I think, have been a result of good dialogue, some debate, and some compromise. And as far as the police department goes, we're in agreement with everything that's been brought forward to this point, and we know there's always room for improvement. And I think this is a good working document, and I hope it's something that the council, once it's finished, will approve, and we'll move forward with these changes to the agency.
Okay, thank you, Chief. All right, let's start with the establishment of a crisis intervention team. I have a question on that. Is that going to be within our department? Are we outsourcing somebody or persons regarding that, that intervention team?
Yeah, so I can take that one up, or part of that one. So, Councilman, how that went down is, I think we saw what happened in Rochester, what's going on nationally. Police are being used more and more to respond to incidents that are involving, individuals who are having mental health crises. So as a result of that, that's how this idea came about. What it is we're going to dedicate an officer who's got specialized training in dealing with individuals who have mental health issues. And they're going to partner with a civilian who also has specialized training with those types of circumstances. And what they're going to do is it's going to be twofold. When they're able, they'll respond to those calls. But the important part, and the key to this, is the follow-up. So right now, there's not a lot of follow-up with the individuals who, may have mental health crises. And what this team will do is they'll follow up in the following days after the incident to try and make sure that the person is getting the help that they need, whether it's medication or follow-up with their healthcare provider. And we're going to our goal is to try and reduce the number of repeat incidents. Through the neighborhood center, they were able to secure money from the community foundation to pay for that civilian position. It was presented to the community foundation. They were very interested because of the subject matter and because of what's going on nationally with police reform. So they agreed to fund it for a year on a trial basis. And if it's successful, I can potentially see the funding continuing going forward.
I had a question, Jack Lamedico.
Yep.
Is this going to be a police officer or is it going to be a civilian?
So it's a team of two, Jack. It's a police officer who's specially trained. We already have her selected.
Right.
It's going to be a civilian working together in a.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with. We have the domestic violence unit right now.
Well, yeah.
That's a police officer, then an advocate from the YWCA. It's kind of a similar model to that. They'll work together with the individuals who have the mental health crisis.
Well, my only question on that would be is that I can't see these mental health issues just happening during the day. Who's going to cover the afternoon and the evening and the midnight shifts?
So the real key to this, Jack, is actually the follow up. So they will respond when able to incidents in progress. Probably more so after the fact. Our officers on the street are still going to respond to these calls, but the key for us is going to be that follow up. A lot of these calls that we have are repeat calls. I think we did the numbers. Some as many as 15, 20, 30 times a month. We go to the same call with the same individual, and the reason being most of the time is because they're not getting the help they need. They're not taking their medication. They're not seeing their provider. So we're hoping that we can reduce the amount of repeat calls.
Well, how are you going to reduce it? By what though? I mean, if they keep calling and you keep sending officers to that location, you're not fixing it.
Well,
Well, let me take a crack at it. So Jack, I think what he means by follow up is like a lot of times these people, we're familiar with who their family is, we're familiar with their service provider is, we might even be familiar with their problem is, right? So somebody's not taking their medication, right? We know who's in charge of giving their the police just, they respond to the incident, they go home, they don't have time to do that. Hey, why is he not on his plan? Who's responsible for him? Is there a phone number I can call in case there's an emergency? And then that person that's responsible for them, whether it's a caseworker or they're inside of a program, is alerted of the problem, and hopefully they can intervene. They're not going to stop all problems, but a lot of times we just go, respond, leave, and then the people who are responsible for this individual or helping this individual aren't even aware that there was a problem. So we want to make sure that we're working the networks and making sure that everybody's on the same page trying to solve this problem, rather than all these agencies going at it differently and the police being treated like a completely independent source to respond to it.
I have a quick question. Do we, with the neighborhood center, do we still use the mobile crisis assessment team? And when needed, do we call them? Are they available when needed?
Yeah, Councilman, we do, and they do respond when needed. It's, again, it just goes back to that, the key we found is the lack of follow-up that we're getting. Like Marcus said, I mean, I think a lot of us know that we go to a call, the person may have to go to the hospital for evaluation. Probably 4 hours after that, they're evaluated by the hospital and released back to the street, and then they're back to doing having the same issues they had before we dealt with them. So,
Yeah.
the key to our what we're looking at is to try and get them the help they need after the fact.
Yeah, just a quick question. When they are released, are they released in the custody of somebody, or they're just free to walk out that door?
Free to walk out that door.
Okay. Well, yeah, that would be a great thing if we could have somebody who's going to be responsible for that person.
Mr. Chairman, can
I have something.
Mr. Chairman, okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
Is it mine?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mark, and then Frankie. Yeah, can I be?
Yes, Mark, and then
The Mark.
Frank.
All right, so
Thank
I'm looking at all this and the reform piece of it, but what's the other side of the coin? And then, he brought up a point. We release them on their own. It's like we're doing everybody else's job, and we're taking police officers off the street for the purpose of taking care of mental health, when you have all these county and all these different programs that are out there to help these individuals. And now we're playing social worker with police officers. And when's enough's enough? I mean, where's the reform for the police officers if they get to a point where it's getting where this individual, this person who's being arrested is fighting and biting and hurting police officers trying to do their job in the performance of their duties? And then where's all the funding going to come for this too? I know you got the Herkimer Foundation, United County Herkimer Foundation, Community Foundation. There's also going to be funding, and we're going to start doing mental health within the city. Then it should be a civilian job within the police headquarters. And this is where we start take police officers out of the desk jobs and putting them on the streets. Now they're becoming social workers and follow up, because there's always going to be an issue. It's not going to be one or two. There's going to be quite a bit. This doesn't happen just now and then. People are getting arrested every day, and
Let me just address what you're saying, so you know what the idea is. So MCAT's going to provide the social worker, the neighborhood center, and that person will just work with us the way that the YWCA does with domestic violence. So we're not paying the civilian. It's an effort to take one of these organizations that we pay, and try to coordinate better with the other organizations we pay. And then they're with us, seeing what we see, responding to what we respond, to help spearhead that coordination. So it's really more of a partnership than a change to the police complement or pay or taking an officer off a desk job.
I guess we can equate it to is almost so we have MCAT assigned to our station full time. So, I mean, Councilman Williams, so we respond to those calls regardless. And so our hope is that by fixing this problem, our officers will have to respond less and less to these types of calls. But right now we call MCAT when needed. It's gonna we're gonna have MCAT right here in the building with us.
I think that's good that you're following up on that.
Okay.
And also too, I
Councilman
think,
Miola. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say also too, to that point, I think that the committee, did not take off the table that maybe we should be hiring a MSW, within the ranks of the police department. Maybe it should be a line item. Maybe, in combating defund the police, maybe they need additional resources and money in order to hire MSW workers that actually work for the city in the police department. So I think this crisis intervention team is a starting point for actually us, I think, hiring mental health workers that are actually employed through the police department.
I have a suggestion. If this works, and let's start out slow with this, and maybe like you have a burglary unit, maybe we have a crisis intervention unit where a number of officers will take the proper schooling. So you have maybe one or two on each shift. Maybe they would be plain clothes. This is down the road, and they would deal with these issues. They would be right there working in their shift. And if something arises, that specialized officer would come in on the scene, maybe plain clothes for that evening, whoever's designated that person that evening. So we have a number of officers that would make up a whole unit, that if this works now, maybe down the road we could look into maybe enhancing it. That's all. Expecting it.
So
Councilman Miola?
Can I just follow up on that? Just
Thank you.
we do have
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilman Miola.
Me. My voice is deeper than
Go ahead.
Anyways.
Thank you, Mark. I'm just questioning. I'm thinking.
What I was saying.
Whose turn?
What I was saying.
Councilman Miola?
Oh, okay. I know it's a
I'll get to you, Councilman Williams.
All right.
I just want to briefly address the issue. I mean, I'm thinking about if I'm a police officer, number one, the guy needs to be identified. And two, he needs his caretaker. And whatever meds or whatever things that he may need, it's not our responsibility, it's the caretaker's responsibility. And the caretaker's responsibility where his whereabouts are. So maybe we can just develop a system that either identifies that person, where the caretaker could be called immediately, where the officer could watch that person until the caretaker arrives, or some type of system where we don't open us up to any type of possible liabilities in the future by going out of our normal public safety realm of training. I believe that a person in need, the caretaker is the most responsible and liable person for that person who is ill. So either identify them or start a software record or start a system that we can identify, take a picture of them. So the next police officer in the next shift says, all right, this person had it, I can identify him. He doesn't have any ID on him. Let me call his caretaker immediately. I think it's a sense of communications that we just need to resolve this problem, not
we
adding
have
more.
The technology. We could. All
Training is always great.
Yeah, so
Absolutely. So once that's go ahead.
So I wanted to kind of address where how the committee approached this.
I want to move a little bit on this subject. After this, I'd like to move through the others. So we'll get Councilman Williamson speak after Marcus, and then we're going to move on.
Okay, so on a CIT team, there's a lot of departments that do it. It's something that our department wanted to try. We've done it with the YWCA and domestic violence and found out that that's worked. And part of our process is how are we going to audit all of these results and find out what's working and what's not working and how our program is working and how it isn't working. So we didn't write a prescriptive thing to say, you have to hire this person, or we said you got to establish a CIT team. So the council, when they see it, if there's specific things they want to see, they can work with the police on that. If the police want the flexibility to see, are the community partners helping? Is this necessary? Is this having an impact on the amount of calls? A lot of this is going to be trying to measure what the reforms do and being flexible enough to change them in the future to make it better. So I just don't want to give you guys the impression, like Delvin said, he thinks maybe they'll hire their own in the future. I just don't want to give the impression that the committee is being specific on how the CIT team runs. We're going to let the evidence dictate that in the police department, who are the experts in the area.
Thank you. Councilman Williamson.
Okay, so we did say that about the, with the mental health and everything else, and maybe not hiring a civilian to come in. But what comes with unions and police officers, you could, and Ed, I don't know if you could chime on this, but when you start tacking on more duties of a police officer than what he signed up for under the civil service rule, is that going to change on the police department? Because now you're looking at a bigger picture. He's a peace officer, but now he's becoming a pseudo social worker on the side, or maybe. Who knows? I mean, is that going to increase their salary?
I think the thing we're missing here is we have to understand is these are the calls that we're responding to anyways. So what we're trying to do is we have a problem, and we're bringing this MCAT worker on board, trying to fix the problem so we can reduce these calls. These calls are a liability, like Councilman Yola said.
How many a month do you get? How many a month?
Give me like 2 minutes. I'm on my computer. I can look it up while we're talking. But if I had to guess off the top of my head, I'd say MHL calls, probably roughly 30 a month. And
That's a good number to know if you could get it.
yeah, I'll pull it up in a minute. But these are calls that we're handling anyways. So we're trying to reduce these calls to reduce our liability, to reduce our officers' risk for injury, and try and actually fix the problem instead of just putting a Band-Aid on it.
How long does a call take?
If we go through with an MHL arrest, you're talking probably with the paperwork, hour and a half.
Okay. And I got the other follow up. Just like anything, any grants or federal grants, everything comes to an end eventually, and eventually it might be put on us at the city level. I'm not sure how long this grant's for, or is it a year or two? That's one thing, because usually we get started off, and next thing you know, we're funding it ourselves. And that's how they started off. Like I said, the second half, I like the ideas, the recruits to the neighborhoods, intervention team, implicit bias. But where's the protection for the police officers for the reforms? Where when they're getting beat on and bit and spit in their face and threatened, I mean, where's the reform on that?
I'll Councilman Williams, I'll address that.
I just remember him saying he left early because he had things he had to do.
I'm just asking questions because
No, I'll address that. I'll address that because I think it's an important point.
But let's address this, and I want to move on to the others. So
okay.
we've been on this for a while.
So we didn't call for the police reform board. There was an executive order that told us what to look at and what the 18 categories they wanted to look at us for. If it comes to changing state laws, that's the state's job. If it comes to changing our laws, that's our job. That's not what the governor mandated us to do. So the things that we looked at and went through were based on what the governor asked us to look for and go through. We didn't go beyond that scope.
Which you did a great job. I just want to let you know that you did a great job.
All right, very good. Let's move on to the increase and enhanced implicit bias training. Obviously, they go through the academy, all these officers. So when they come on, I'm sure that's part of the mandatory training that they do have. But annual training, Chief, maybe you could explain. We are accredited, so I'm pretty sure we're well on our way to that. And I'm sure you could add this bias training into your, into your repertoire.
Yeah. So I gotta say to the chief's credit, we implemented implicit bias training probably about I'd say 4 or 5 years ago. We do it every other year right now. So I think this changes as we're going to do it annually as opposed to every other year.
Yeah, and this is something where it's classroom technique or something that officers have to attend.
Yeah, it's a classroom training. Yep, I believe it's it's either a 4 or an 8 hour block. I'm not certain off the top of my head.
Very good.
And
any questions?
Monaco, I want to answer his question. In January, Jack, we responded to over 50 calls for individuals with mental health.
50? All right, I have a follow-up call on this enhanced implicit bias training, if I could ask a question.
Go ahead.
One of the issues that we've had this year, well, I guess it's two issues that we've had this year with the police against civilians that have come public, and we both know that both cases and both officers right at this time aren't on the streets. One of the things on this increased enhancement implicit bias training, I think we're missing a point here. And these officers are on the street every day. All right. They're not dealing with the best people in the world. You know, they're dealing with people with mental health. They're dealing with criminals. They're dealing with a lot nowadays. That's why we're having such a problem with retention. And it's tough to be a police officer now. One of the things that we're missing here is that right now, what type of mental health services and you know are we providing for our officers as part of this whole increase in enhanced implicit? But there should be something in there to reboot our officers in the sense that, hey, listen, it's tough out there. Is there anything talking about like, once a month or something, 2 days off where that you bring them in and they have 3 or 4 guys in with a psych guy. They could discuss their issues with them or anything like that. Because, these guys got a lot on their, besides family issues, they got everybody on the streets issues. And that could really, and I think that's some of the issues that I think the second incident we had might have caused that, and so I think this is very important, and I don't think the governor would have any problem at all if we incorporated this into the because that might help the bias training and some of the issues that are going on the street because a lot of our guys will be depressurized a bit before they get out there. Do we have anything in there that we're looking at other than what we already have?
Yep. So Jack, that's a great point. And so what we have in place right now is we do have a peer support program. We have an EAP program both through the city, which is strictly confidential and free, and we have EAPs who are specially trained in house, and then we have our police chaplain. But a part of the governor's proposal, it does include officer wellness, and whether or not it's a part of our recommendations going forward internally, our goal for the agency for this year is we sent our academy instructor to get specialized training in officer wellness. We're going to implement it here internally, regardless if it's included in this document or not. So, officer wellness is very important to us, and like I said, we offer those programs right now. We're going to expand upon those this year.
And just a quick follow up, but the issue is, I've been in the military. Military guys, police guys, they don't complain.
Same here.
Unless you make it mandatory, like once a month they get in front of somebody where they can discuss a couple of things, because a lot of this stuff these guys are going to keep inside.
Sure.
But if you give them, you say, listen, you got to go today and you got to talk to this guy. I think this is something that we need to mandate because I think a lot of the issues you would have on the street, I think you'd see some of them, well, once again, it's depressurizing, which I think would help a lot. Can you guys take a look at that at least, Delv and Marcus? Can we look about putting something like that in there?
Yeah, Jack, give me a call
Absolutely.
tomorrow. We'll write up an amendment. What I want you to know though, me and you will write up an amendment. I'll introduce it and we'll see if it flies. We'll work with the chiefs. But the thing that I don't want you guys to lose sight of is that you can add to this, that it's the council's document. We're just preparing it in preparation for the council. So if these things come up and you think you might have a proposal that goes well, that's going to be on you guys because you're the ones that ultimately have to pass it. But me and you will talk tomorrow. We'll make an amendment that we're both comfortable with, that the police are comfortable with, and we'll introduce it at the meeting. Sure.
Good. And of course, we'd want your 2 cents in on this as well, and on this. And but does everybody sort of agree on this as an issue?
Agreed. I said that from day one as well.
I agree.
You have to worry about the officer because they're on the streets. You get a young kid that's coming in, 5 years, 6 years on a job, he just becomes bitter, and it gets worse and it gets worse and worse. you want to try to catch it, before it gets to that point where they don't even want to come to work, and they're just not the right person when they started. So hopefully, yeah, I'm sure our department will take care of their own officers. I can guarantee that. We have good leadership there, and I know it'll happen.
Yeah, I'd like to see an actual program. I mean, come out of this.
Yeah,
Like what I
that's a
was.
great idea.
All right, thank you, guys. That's all my questions on this.
Next is familiarize recruits with the neighborhood. I know after the academy, I guess the recruits they drive around a couple weeks with a training officer, and I think that would obviously that wouldn't suffice because it's only a couple of weeks, but it is a great tool to go out there and learn about the community, where the rough areas have been, where they are, where we can maybe improve them, and just kind of meet the public, meet the people in the areas that we're having some problems with, and introduce the new officer, and hopefully they can build a relationship, starting with youth and all the way up to adults. So I mean, I agree. I think that's a great point that you're touching on here. And if anybody else has any questions, go ahead, fire away. President Gleamy, if you could scan that down a little bit. Anybody on that? Okay, mandatory service events following hire after police officer. Oh, we just lost it. After a police officer graduates the Utica Police Academy during the employment probation period, that officer should be required to work no less than 8 hours a month doing community outreach, community service, and/or related events. And you said you're going to rotate the officers on that community outreach. And right now, we just have a chief. Am I right? Maybe a few officers that are on this COPS program, this outreach program, and you're going to try to build on that and have officers move in and out of there. Is that what you're trying to say there?
Yep, that's exactly it, Councilman. Yep.
All right.
They do a lot of work. They do a ton of work in the community, and they present the police in a positive light and positive situation. So we want as many officers as we can to be in those situations and in the community, see them and have the ability to talk to them in a positive setting.
Yeah.
I got a question on that, Frank, when you let me in.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I think why can't part of this be going back into the schools themselves like we used to have? Ed?
Jack, so right now we do have that partnership with the school district where we have officers assigned to the school. In addition to that, our community outreach team does go into the school for different events, whether it's when it's situations where they're reads for kids.
Yeah,
or,
I'm talking in the young, like in kindergarten through 6th grade.
Yep.
What was it? McGruff, that McGruff thing? Is that something we could reissue, getting these kids to meet the officers again? As a friendly person instead of
speeches.
These guys are doing that now, Jack, the community outreach team. And our thought process is we can, right now it's 3 officers, but we want to get more officers involved in that and rotate through the schools and everything they do.
That'd be great. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great. And they just had an event at the Veterans Center where the officers and some of the students, the high school students there, they got together. They played some video games. They got to know the officer a little bit on a one-on-one basis. I actually attended one of those, and it was a great night, I thought. Obviously, with the pandemic, you can't go out and maybe play a sport like basketball or wiffle ball or kickball in a gymnasium to against the officers, but it's a start, and I think we can build upon that so we can reach our community and let the kids know that the officers are human. You know what I mean? And let's see what the officers think of the children. What they're up against. Some of these children don't have the best lives going, but just to see what they're up against as well. And I think this is a great service.
I have something, Frank.
Go ahead,
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Yes, Judge.
Mr. DeBranco.
Yes, Judge.
When they have these meetings regarding these matters, does someone from the Corporation Council sit down on these meetings?
Everyone.
Yeah, they're in everyone. Zach,
Does the-
Zach has been doing
There,
that.
everyone. Now, well, the reason I'm saying that is, other than you determining how many police officers we have in the city of Utica and how many firemen you have in the city of Utica, that's about the Common Council's legislative authority regarding the police and fire department. So when the governor makes a mandate that you have to have some sort of a policy position regarding this, that's really an executive function, because we do not print and make out a manual for the conduct of the Utica Police Department officers. They have their own mechanism in which they do that. And what they do in a particular situation is what they're taught pursuant to that manual. And what should be in that manual, it should be a contribution from government leaders, which means the Common Council would have an input into that. But ultimately, you're not going to write the manual. And my point being that once you set a policy, the chief of police sets a policy, and that policy is in a written form. A policy, or if you don't, and you deviate from it, then the city of Utica might be liable for anything that is a result thereof of that incident, which can get very expensive. But I'm just wondering if at these meetings it isn't made clear that what you are suggesting, or what would like to be proposed, and what we have to submit to the governor within a particular time frame, is something that has to come out of the executive branch, and the Common Council would pretty much review it and write off on it if they thought it was something that they wanted to be write off on. And I was wondering who in the executive branch is taking the lead on this, that's going to work with the police department and even the fire department, really, because they come in contact with people at the same time too, and they are public safety, and they are people that DPW worker, they all have contact with the public in unusual situations. So I'm saying that who in the city of Utica executive branch is the lead person who's going to eventually develop a plan, which the Utica is going to submit to the governor and say, this is the plan that we have redeveloped in the city of Utica. This is a plan that'll be part of our training of the Utica officers, and it'll be clearly outlined. And if it isn't clearly outlined and becomes vague and unenforceable, or sets us up to a liability, I think that that's part of what the Common Council should be concerned about, and also and don't and is in sync with the legislative branch. So I'm saying, who's leading and who's going
Judge,
to be the publisher
I agree
in
with you,
the
Judge.
legislative branch.
Right, I agree with you 100%. Basically, what I want to do as a
If I was
council
chief of police, I'd be concerned.
is I would like to see, okay, what they're doing, and is it going to cost us more money as a city? Like they may want to get MCAT involved. How much is that going to cost? How much do we have to pay them? We have to make decisions on the city finances. So I'm looking at it. I like some of these ideas. Is it going to cost us money? We'll find out at the end. And then that's when the council, I think, would come into play to say, okay, let's transfer this amount of money into the police fund for this particular,
So how that has been explained to us and how we've attempted to address that is that the chief of police, the deputy chief of police, a sergeant in the Utica Police Department, me, who's director of city initiatives and codes commissioner, and the mayor himself and the budget director are all on this committee. So we present a joint report, and the budget director is there to give us joint implications. And there's a whole of administration approach. It has started in the executive branch. The governor asked for legislative ratification by resolution, but this has been negotiated and started in the executive branch, and the oversight and the implementation based on the budget that you guys passed is going to have to be implemented by the executive branch. And then we're going to get a report to see how it all worked out, because we just got this memo, like every municipality did, that sort of vaguely outlined this process that we have to do. So we put as much executive thrust into it as we can, and with our current resources, implementing it is going to be the executive's job.
Okay.
Well, I think the chief of police of the city of Utica has to know specifically what he's going to be training his officers to do. And that will become the policy of the city of Utica and the policy upon which they will be held liable if something goes wrong. Because a deviation from the policy can cost the city of Utica an awful lot of money, depending on the circumstances. So all I'm saying to you is that at some point, somebody's got to put together with the agreement of the police chief himself and his branch of officers who will have to implement this plan that they all agree upon that the captains and the sergeants will enforce. It's got to be pretty clear in writing what they're going to do. Now, as far as legislation, the city of Utica Common Council doesn't change the state laws of New York about arrests and all the other things that go on. And it doesn't change the obligation of the courts when they get people before them and order 730 exams. But we're talking about what happens on the street, and that has to be a clear plan. And I don't pretend to know what that plan will eventually look like, but I'm saying ultimately it's an executive branch plan, and the Common Council becomes aware of it, and probably by resolution signs off on it, and that's what you send to the governor as per the directive and executive recommendation that he made a long time ago. That's all I'm saying. And of course, that means that the Corporation Counsel's Office of City Utica has to also sign off on that plan too, because they're the ones that have to worry about how it's implemented. That's my only contribution. That's a lawyer speaking, and that's
Well said, Judge.
That's what I'm here for, not to make judgments.
Councilman DeBrango?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Councilman Beatrice, I just got one question, and it's overall on all these buckets. So this is mandated from the state. I am correct, right? The governor's reform policy. So is there any talk, or is there any plans for the state to, like, say, reimburse us for extra services that we have to do?
Well, if we have to present a plan. From what I understand, we present the plan. The governor wants a plan, an action plan on police reform. And once we present it to the state, then he'll release the funding that is necessary for the plan and necessary for the police departments to keep running, and so he's holding back funds until we come up with a plan. And that's why they've been working on it for the last few months. And I think this is a great start. And once they get the finished product, my only concern as a council member, I'm going to leave it up to the experts as far as the plan, the police department, and the committee. And that's all my concern is right now is it going to cost the city more money, and where are we going to get the money? And at the end of this, we'll find out how much it may cost. If it's not going to cost anything, that's fine. If it's going to cost something, then we have to find out how we're going to pay for it. And that was my thinking. So go ahead.
So, Councilman, when you say he's holding back funding, he's holding back the regular funding that we police department got before any of this plan came into existence, correct?
Yes.
Does anybody want to answer that?
Yes. That's yes.
Yeah,
So,
that's what he's threatening to hold back funding from police departments that don't have a reform effort. The goal of our reform, and the reason why the budget director there, is to put together a plan that we can execute in the current budget framework. That's
Okay.
always been our goal. Now, there might be additional expenses. So like,
There will be.
if we have an oversight model that requires, if that requires an auditor, let's say, well, then we'll have to pay that auditor. If we have a green light district and we got to add lights and you know, rape whistles to a district, then that's going to cost money. But the reason the budget director is there is because we're going to try to do it in the current framework of our budget. I don't know if we'll be successful. If we're not successful, then you'll find out because you'll get a report. But that's always been our goal, is to operate under the current budget framework and implement a plan that can be done that way.
Okay, so basically our governor's telling us to put this plan in, and it looks great.
Not only us, the whole
But
state.
no, the whole state, I get it. But the cities and municipalities have to pay for it on their own. He's not volunteering no money. He's just threatening us. If you don't do this, you're not getting the money you got before.
Right.
Right.
Okay. I don't know how I like that. I don't know how you guys feel about that,
Well,
but
first of all, we have to abide by the law. We have
Right,
to abide
yeah,
by we have
right.
to follow his lead here.
yeah, no, I know. I get
Let's
it.
do what we have to do, and then we figure out what it's going to cost, and I'm sure we'll get some funding.
I got a
So
question.
I know we're winding down at 6 o'clock. We had a great discussion. I enjoyed the discussion. I appreciate everybody, you know, and getting involved. I want to end it. I'm sure we're going to revisit this
I have one
again,
question.
but it is 6 p.m. and we have to start our caucus.
I have one question.
Go ahead, fire away.
It's the last one. All right. It says here,
Yes, sir.
mandatory service events following a hire. After a police officer graduates. Hey, can you put that back up? Michael?
Yes, I will. I was just about to get the caucus information up. Let's see.
Yeah, we probably got another minute or so.
I know.
Yeah, let's just. All right, I'm opening it up. Okay.
All right. After a police officer graduates from the Utica Police Academy during the employment probationary period, that officer shall be required to work no less than 8 hours a month during community service, outreach, or service-related events. Now, is that before hours? Is that after hours? Is that during hours? And if it's after hours, are these police officers going to be paid for their time? Those are the questions, you know.
It's during hours.
It's during hours. So it'd be during hours. It'd be doing outreach center community service during hours. So is that what we're doing?
It's correct, Councilman. It's during work hours.
Okay. Okay, that's all I had.
All right, thank you all. Great meeting, and let Michael get set up for the caucus. You want to give 5 minutes, and then we'll meet back?
Yes, that's what we'll do. Maria, are you?
we will get started with February 3rd, 2020 pre-caucus caucus meeting. We'll get started with ordinance number 1. It's a transfer of funds from 2020-2021 fiscal year. It is a transfer from A57310-102 youth wages to A51315-206 comptroller software in the amount of $60,500. Any questions regarding this?
I do. Is this because we didn't use those finances this last summer?
No,
Majority. Oh, hang on.
We can have.
what it is that our software for our tickets, traffic tickets, didn't work anymore. So they went around, they looked all over, and it was going to cost them a lot of money. But all of a sudden, they found out that our existing software system, what's it called? Mutis?
Munis, yeah.
Mutis happened to have an application built right into it that we could purchase very cheaply. That would suffice. So that's what we use that money for.
But why was there extra money from the youth wages?
Yeah.
Yes. If you remember during the lockdowns, all the coronavirus shutdowns, etc., we did not have the youth employment working. So this budget year, that money will not be expended. That is why the budget director and the administration ultimately chose to pull it from there. That's how we did. We discussed it at ENA, and it made sense because the youth employment will not be utilized until the next budget year, so that money is still there. What you'll also notice is there's still a considerable amount of money left in that original account line if for some reason something were to come up before April 1st and we needed youth employment.
Any other questions?
All right, I did want to also note, Majority Leader, Jack's explanation was spot on about why this was purchased. One of the other things that we did want to mention coming out of ENA bringing this to the council is the controller stated that since this is going to run through Munis, it'll also be able to automate the parking tickets so people will be able to pay them online once we get that all set up.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward, resolution number 2. It is from Councilmember Miola. It's a marriage officer of Denise Gregory. You okay with this one?
Yes, Mr. Majority Leader. Thank you.
Next is resolution number 3, Councilmember Friend, Deputy City Clerk, Marriage Officer David Butler. You okay with this one?
I am, thank you.
The next one is resolution number 4. It is mine, Commissioner of Deeds for Kimberly Bowinger. I'm good with that one. The next one is resolution number 5, Commissioner of Deeds for all of us. It is for James Zecca, Michael Galimi, Samantha Testa, Russell Brooks, Michael Gentile, Sandra DePerno, and Marianne Brooks. Everyone good with those? Okay. Next is resolution number 6 from Councilmember Friend, Utica Garden Walk. If you want to talk about this one and what it would actually cost the taxpayers of Utica and, what this actually entails, how we came to a date when it was going to start and a little bit of information on it, we would appreciate that.
Sure. Thank you, Madam President. So you'll remember that a few months ago, I don't remember exactly when, 2 women came and spoke about this project to all of us. They are going to be beginning this garden walk this year. This is the first year. They showed us how this kind of garden walk works really well in Buffalo. They're asking nothing from us or the city except for this resolution. This won't cost us anything. It has the potential over time to bring a lot of tourism dollars in. In Buffalo, something like 60,000 people descend on Buffalo one weekend a year just in order to walk around and look at gardens, people's private gardens. So they're really asking nothing from us other than this non-binding resolution, endorsing it and, giving it our stamp of approval.
Is the resolution for granting purposes?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, I thought we already did this with these women.
No, we had them
No,
come
we did
in
not.
and do a presentation, which they did, and this is a resolution just establishing and stating, it's just a resolution, literally. It's just a statement that it's happening and the council's recognizing the date of July 10th. But there's nothing officiated by this lawfully. Judge Garamone can back that up as well.
So is,
I just don't
Madam
know what the
President, may I
plan
ask a
is.
question?
Of course.
Or Madam Majority Leader, I'm sorry.
Fine.
So this garden walk, is this something that is just for city property, like downtown areas, or is it for residential too?
No, the idea is that it's only for residential. So private property owners can volunteer, purely voluntary, to, say that there's somebody who has a particularly nice garden, wants to show it off. They put themselves on this list as being part of this garden walk, and they welcome these people who want to go on a garden walk to come into their back garden, front garden, what have you, and admire it. That's all. It's not city gardens at all, just privately owned, privately maintained gardens.
Okay, and so, and I know there's most of them, I have a couple in my area that the people do beautiful things with, and I think they're great, but is there what happens to people that put these gardens up and then don't take care of them, and then they become, I don't want to say a nuisance, or they become a problem? Is there anything to supervise that?
This is
Or
private property.
Well, this has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
That problem, which I know is a problem in some places, is nothing to do with this. This is people saying, hey, I've got a pretty garden. I'd love to have people come and look at it. That's all this is. So it has nothing to do with those other gardens that people started and then didn't take care of, et cetera. It's not related to that at all.
Okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
Madam Chairman,
you have the floor, Judge.
my only concern is when you say you're endorsing a plan that is commencing July 10th, 21, somebody asks you what the plan is, what's your answer?
That was presented.
I mean, you say, we had that problem once before where in general words, we said something and then later on, when it came pushed on the shove, we really didn't mean that. And so we had to backtrack on it. That had to do with the street thing. Well, I looked at this and I came to City Hall today to see if there is a plan that is supposedly commencing. It has a specific date, by the way, to July 10th, 21. And if you should have a plan, it should be attached to the resolution, because somebody asked you what you agreed to or endorsed. You should be able to say, well, this is what they intend to do. That's my only suggestion, because you might be asked, and just because somebody says what they think it's going to be doesn't make it so. All right.
May I answer that? This is something this was presented to us, and I can't, obviously this is kind of a weak way to do this. This is this document that was shown to us and presented to the Common Council, and I assume is part of documentation somewhere in the Common Council records. I don't know if anybody can.
What was presented to council?
Judge, you have the floor.
Was a very complicated, expensive plan that was done in Buffalo. But that required at the time a lot of contributions from persons who would like to contribute to make that happen. It was not without a lot of cost involved. I want to know what plan is being implemented on July 20. What's it say in the ordinance? July 10th, 21. That's sort of made me wonder, what is it? It's not what that woman who kindly came to the council meeting and explained how the Buffalo, I think it was the Buffalo plan. It was a very beautiful plan, but it was very intricate and very expensive. And they had walking tours. And that was really something that the city of Buffalo and the philanthropists of the area financed. I don't know, we're not gonna do, we can't endorse that plan because that was very expensive.
If
That
I
is not-
understand
And to say we
correctly,
were
that
doing
it's
that,
at the homeowner's expense, that they are going to be financing everything for their gardens. Am I correct, Councilperson Friend?
Yes, that's correct to begin with. That's a really good point. This is about people who have nice gardens, spend their own money in order to have nice gardens, and are happy to have people literally walk into their yards and say, that is a nice garden. That's all it is. And second of all, the plan that, this proposal for Utica Garden Walk, which was presented to all of us a couple of months ago, included, as the judge said, the Buffalo model. And if you read through their presentation, it's very clear that the Buffalo model was what they were offering as the possibility or the potential of what this could turn into. They were using the Buffalo model simply to present to us an example of how well this can work when it works well. They're not asking for any donation. They're certainly not asking anything from the city of Utica. They had a whole page. What they're asking for from Utica is nothing more than to embrace it, endorse it, and promote it.
I have a question, Majority Leader.
Of course you have the floor.
that's still not a plan attached to a resolution. A plan should, if there's a plan and something people are being informed of when they read the minutes, they should see what the plan is. And there is no plan. And there is no plan that starting July 21st, 2021, that the Common Council approved, because they don't know what the plan is. And these words will not be the
In a minute.
thing they can refer back to.
Council President, you have the floor.
Thank you. Judge, good points. What I was going to ask, since this is going to be completely privately run and not at all affiliated with the city, it would be good, Councilperson Friend, if you could add another whereas clause if we're trying to do this as a pure resolution to promote this and at least support and endorse, legitimately just purely endorse by definition, the fact that this is happening and get it out there on July 10th. It'd probably be good to add another whereas clause with the contact information of the person who is coordinating this. That way, if anyone does look at this in the minutes, looks at the certified legislation, it says right there, whereas so-and-so is organizing this and it is completely privately run and contact information is as follows type of situation.
This is
that way.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's all. That's all I got. Yeah.
Madam President or Madam Majority Leader?
Yes, you have the floor.
Quick question. Celeste, this is a good idea, but I sort of agree with the judge. We're before we endorse this, we got to see exactly what we'd like to see what they're actually going to do. I mean, I like it, but by the city endorsing it without knowing exactly what it entails, sort of, it's sort of contrary to what the legislative body's supposed to do. Is what I'm getting at. If they could just put a plan together and you staple this to it and bring it in, so at least we know what we're endorsing. This is sort of a generality, and like once again, I think it's a good idea. I think it's good for the public and everything, but I think I think the cart is in front of the horse right now until we actually see, so we could say, yeah, this is a good idea. We want to endorse it. You tracking what I'm saying on that?
I am. Madam Majority Leader, can I have the floor?
Of course.
I'm happy to do that. We can put this off for 2 weeks. I'll do that. The reason I didn't do that is you've seen exactly the plan that I can attach to this in 2 weeks.
That's good.
They came to us and made a presentation. It took 20 minutes. It was a PowerPoint presentation. and they handed us the presentation when they were done as a hard copy. You've all seen exactly what the plan is, but I'm happy to go ahead and print out a fresh copy and attach it to this, and I'm happy to do what President Gleam suggests and add a whereas about the contact information from Michelle McKenna.
Can I?
Councilperson Moody, you have the floor.
Yeah, the only thing too I would add, Celeste, because I must have missed that meeting because I don't have that plan. I think I missed the meeting a few months ago. But I think the other thing too is I think this is a great idea. I would also reach out to the mayors because I know typically they do a sort of proclamation, and that may be another avenue too, to just simply send him the plan and ask the mayor if he'd be willing to do a proclamation of some sort. And then, that can also be a level of endorsement and embrace of this Utica Garden Walk.
I got a question, Maria.
Councilperson Williamson, you have the floor.
Yeah, going back to the beginning of these two ladies, I was contacted as well as Frank Miola, and I met him over there a couple times over in the Proctor Park area. And then I'm the one that invited him on with Councilman Miola as well. We invited him on for the presentation. We kind of already discussed what they wanted to do in Proctor Park in the way with the approval of Dave Short and everybody else involved, the administration. And that's how we kind of left it, because I'm part of the bulwark of that. So I'm curious, did they come in to seek you out to put this in? Or is it something you just remembered that we never put in?
Can I have the floor?
You have the floor.
Thank you. Councilman Williamson, at that meeting, I remember very clearly Frank DeBrango saying, Celeste should take the lead on this. This is right up her alley. She's, I had expressed my support for this idea. I said that I have a garden, and Frank said, you should, Celeste, we'd love it if you took the lead on this, since this seems to be the kind of thing that you're exactly interested in. And I said, that'd be great. I'd love that.
Okay, I remember
Madam
that.
Majority Leader, I'd like one comment.
Councilman DeBrango, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Like the judge says about a plan, I think if you are in communication with the sponsors of this, what they should do, if we can promote it right, is actually get the list of whoever wants to be involved. Obviously, if there's 15, 20, 25 homeowners that may want to be involved, have a mapped out area, have a brochure, maybe announce it, July 10th will be our walk day, and maybe it could last for a week if the people don't mind people walking into their backyard and looking at their garden.
It's a one-day event.
Right, okay.
It's a one-day event.
And maybe we could promote it and put it in the hotels and put it in the lobby at City Hall where they have a little brochure. And if somebody is visiting the area, it'll give them something to do that day, the time frame that they can go, and something more concrete. Now that would be the plan. We plan on doing this day. Here's our local map. Here's the addresses. Here's how you get to them, and then they can drive their own vehicle or whatever. Maybe this could be something where a bus could be involved. You know what I mean? And they're all coming from the North Utica hotels. You never know. It may grow. It's a start, but I think the judge is right. What plan is it? You're just going to turn in your address and say, yeah, I'll have them come to my house. You'd have to have a plan so they can map it out, so they can visit East Utica, West Utica, South Utica, North Utica, and then back to their destination. So I think a better plan would be sufficient. That's all. I just wanted to throw my opinion in, but I do like the idea. Thank you.
So
Madam
I think
Madam
everyone's
Majority.
on board with this, and we just want more of a comprehensive plan moving
Yes.
forward.
I just got one quick question.
All right.
Okay.
Councilperson Chris, you have the
Yes,
floor.
just one quick question. These gardens, they can be any place on the property, or they need to be in the backyards? They can be in the
Any
front
place.
yard?
Any
I think any place. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I said backyard just as an example.
Yeah, well, I would
Yeah.
figure, yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
But I think everyone just wants a little bit more of a comprehensive
Okay.
plan and something detailed so that we know what's going on and where.
Okay, that's fine. Yep.
Madam Majority Leader,
You have the
Just,
floor.
just to Joe's question, I'm gonna be, concerning the city-owned property from the sidewalk over. I'm gonna be working with Marcus this week to, develop some type of legislation on exactly what you're referring to. Okay?
Yes, you're talking to me, Jack?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get it. Okay.
Right,
Yep. That's fine.
Marcus, you're still on board with that, right?
Joe, you have your hand raised. You need
sorry.
something?
No, I'm sorry.
Just saying. You just want
Background.
to say hi to everyone? All right, good.
I can give a little background on that, where the youth bureau has been cleaning out all the trees and hedges and opening up that area of the park. We come across the waterfall, so I brought those two women over from outside the area, really big into planting, and I asked their opinion, what should we put here? Because I'm like, it's going to be all funded by private donations, and we're going to build it into a nice little area where people can sit. We're just waiting for the soil to come in, and then of course the pandemic hit, and then everything got put on hold. But this summer, the game plan is Dave Short's bringing me a lot of topsoil to level it out and clean it up nice, plant grass seed, and then put flower beds in there. And that's where those women came in, and we brought them on board for to give us a brief. So that's my plan. That has nothing to do with their plan. I just brought them in to come in and give me some pointers on how to do it. That's all it was. And then of course it morphed into something more, and which is great. I mean, and that's what we did. So that's what it's all about. Thanks.
Thank you.
Frank, how come you didn't put Mark in this with Celeste? I don't understand. Why'd you leave him out?
I have no authority to point anybody. I just made a recommendation.
I was just
Yeah,
gonna say,
that was just you. That was the general discussion you guys were having after the presentation.
But Mark's, his feelings are hurt. If you can't tell.
Majority Leader, would you like to move to the next piece of legislation?
Sure.
No.
All right. So we are going to hold off on this one until we get a little bit more information, a little more detailed information. Moving forward, we are going to go to resolution number 7. It is Councilman Beatrice, Commissioner of Deeds, Regina Ann
Vanatosi.
Thank you so much. You okay with this one?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
And the next Commissioner of Deeds, Lauren Elizabeth Venatosi.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Moving forward, let me pull this up. We're going to discuss the zoning plan. I know that Commissioner Thomas was going to make a couple corrections, and at this point, there was something that needed to be corrected, one final thing, and we were going to move forward with this. Has that been corrected, Commissioner Thomas?
Yes, all the changes have been made that were requested.
How about the one I requested at the minority meeting there? We discussed it, and corner stores with no gas pumps should be shut down at a certain time.
That the council passed the legislation several months ago about convenience stores. This zoning ordinance does not address convenience stores. That was the intent of the legislation that was passed a few months ago.
All right, so I need to bring that one back up and then go ahead and make an amendment to it. Shanton.
Right. Yes.
Correct, Mark.
Because if we're going to do this, council, if we're going to do this, we need to do it before the spring hits. Because people start staying out later and later and later. So we should come to a resolution on that sooner than later.
Majority Leader, can I address you with a question for Councilman Williamson?
You have the floor, Council President.
Is Councilman Williamson referring to the zoning text that we've been over, or is he referring to the legislation that was passed regarding convenience stores, so that we can actually talk about the zoning text?
But like I said, at the zoning, I kind of brought it up at my meeting I had on Monday, and but maybe I'm confused a little bit. That's okay. I'll pull up the other one if it's not in there. But I think we should move on with this.
Any other questions regarding this? Is everyone okay with it? I know everyone that I've spoken to wants to move forward with this evening.
Maria?
Oh, that's the amended.
I can't hear. Who is it?
Maria, may I have 2 minutes with the floor?
Councilperson Miola, you have the floor.
This is Frank. Maria, may I have? Thank you. Brian, we have to change a couple dates on our ordinance. We did have our public hearing. It was December 16th, 2020. That needs to be amended. In addition to that, to be ordained, the ordinance shall take effect. It's up to the council. You can take it effect today, or what day would the council like to make it effective? That'll be the consensus of the council. So, of course, the first one is easy to change because we already had the public hearing. But the last one is the effective date. And if Majority Leader doesn't mind, she can get a consensus of her colleagues and when they would like this to start.
Commissioner Thomas, can I have a question?
Sure.
I know once we change the zoning on this, obviously we're going to get some funding for it. Is it better to keep it right now at this date, or could we extend it? I think this date is fine, but I just wanted your opinion on it.
No, I think if it's the will of the council, you could make it effective today.
I have no problem making it effective today if my colleagues feel comfortable.
I just also wanted to note, we had already updated all the dates. It was because the window has been open since a couple hours ago. So if you look at the legislation that's actually before us, it does say December 16th and February 3rd already. Thank you. Thank you, clerks, for updating all that stuff earlier.
I'm good with today.
I wonder how they got it.
Good here.
All right, so we're changing both dates. And is everybody good with that legislation? All right. If the council doesn't mind, I'd like to bring it to the floor. Thank you very much.
Just procedural note, that'll need a motion to pull from the committee a whole on the floor, and then we can act on the zoning regulations. Thank you.
Will do. Maria, you there?
Majority Leader?
I think we lost Maria.
I think she's just muted. There she is.
Muted me. I said,
Yeah.
I said, is there anything else that we wanted to? I was talking and nobody was responding. I didn't understand. All right. So, is there anything else that's in committee that anyone wants to discuss, or are we ready to move forward to our presentation from Emma?
Are we going to move
Madam
forward
Chairman?
on the paving ordinance so that Mike Mahoney can get out there and start getting out an RFP?
Paving ordinance?
We don't have a pavement ordinance for the, we don't have a pavement ordinance in front of us for the 5 million. That has to be done by the administration. As soon as we have that, if the majority council wants to move on the 5 million, we'll do so. So if it's the consensus of the council to move on the 5 million, I will ask the administration to get it to us as soon as possible for our next
Majority
meeting.
Leader, can I address Councilman Miola with a question? And actually, Councilperson Friend, this is actually pretty pertinent.
Of course.
All right, thank you. The previous council, well, the previous modification to move it to 3 million last year was for 1 year effective. The current budget that was presented to ENA has $5 million worth of paving, and it's currently city law as passed by that referendum that it's already 5 million. So, Councilman Miola, I'm not sure if you were meant to say a different number, but we don't need, you know what I mean? We don't need to change it to 5. It is 5 if that's what council's doing. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. That
No,
helps.
the issue would be the bonding ordinance. That
Aha.
would be the
Okay,
issue,
very good.
but,
All right, very good.
we just want to make sure that the council is supporting with the bonding ordinance so we can move forward on that.
Okay.
But we'll get the paperwork as soon as possible. Thank you.
So can I ask one more quick question then? If we are of a consensus that we should bond for 2.5 million and not 500,000, can't we take that ordinance, which is already sitting in committee, and simply amend it on the floor?
You're going to be bonded. You're going to be bonded for 3 million, not 2.5 million.
I wouldn't do that. Councilperson, I wouldn't do that. Bonding ordinances are a little different than other ordinances. And I think the bonding company lawyers would prefer if you pass a bonding ordinance that has been approved by them. We don't have that before us now. We have this is the 3 million one.
Correct.
We have the 3 million one before us. Now, as Mr. Galimi says, evidently ENA approved the 5 million. And so now you need a bonding ordinance that complies with that. I know all the bonding ordinances are done by bond counsel. And I think I'm suggesting that you have a brand new ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Right.
I get it.
That's all.
Thank you.
And then just one more note, Councilperson Friend, with the paving, ENA has not approved the budget yet. The council will be getting the budget. I would just recommend Councilman Miola would probably also agree with this. Among other council people who have been through this, we have to meet with the budget director, the controller, et cetera, to decide how much that bond ordinance will be for, because it, like Councilman Beatrice mentioned, is it 3? Someone else said, is it 2.5? Well, that has to do with what the council does with the budget that we have for next year. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? Any other concerns? I think at this time we'll move forward with our presentation.
McNeil,
Yes, Judge?
Councilperson McNeil, we have a matter on the committee list. My recollection is correct. Councilman Friend moved to dismiss her orders about the limits. I think she already did that, and I think it was approved. It's my recollection that I remember Councilman Friend said that's academic, and it was discussed, and she said, well, I'll just move to dismiss it.
No,
That's what was done.
no,
I think that's what was done.
no, I removed the one,
I could be wrong.
no, I removed the one on police transparency. I did not rescind the other one.
So this one that's here in committee right now, you say is still live?
Yes, I haven't rescinded it.
Councilman Friend?
I have not rescinded it.
Oh, okay. So it's there. Well, it'll stay there forever unless somebody moves it out. And because you've already passed the legislation on that, it'd be sort of academic.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So moving forward, we will do Emma Ferguson's presentation.
All right, so I'm going to ask Emma to, Miss Ferguson, to unmute her microphone, and just make sure we have some.
Emma, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I'm going to share the presentation, start the slideshow. As it moves on, just say next slide and we'll be all set.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Emma Ferguson, and I am proposing the blue light system. So, the City of Utica oversees 20 parks as well as dozens of restaurants and cafes specific to Utica. The city continues to emphasize the importance of tourism and entertainment. The potential in the city is rapidly growing as our legislation is moving towards safety as well as promoting opportunities for individual and cultural growth. Our city is enriched with diversity, which strengthens the foundation With all of that, the crime rate for Utica, New York still sits at 41%. Today, I'm providing a proposal to enhance the track of making Utica a more welcoming city and ensuring the safety for our community members, as well as the visitors. So today I'm proposing the blue light system. The blue light tower is a crime deterrent mechanism to add security. These lights have a large button you press if you feel in danger. The button immediately calls a 911 operator. These also act to intimidate the person harming you. These lights have been on college campuses for 30 years, and yet only recently have people discovered these can be used in cities as well. The purpose of these lights serve to maintain individual independence while keeping students safe. The lights are symbolic efforts in providing safety to the college community. College students and faculty both agree that these lights make them feel safer on campus. Next slide, please. Now, apply that information to crime prevention for any city. Council members of San Diego also wanted to add these proactive measures after being inspired by a nearby college campus. As seen on the slide, one member alluded to the idea that more and more cities are installing these devices because they have been proven to be a valuable part of a comprehensive public safety strategy. Although I was unable to contact this council member in San Diego, parts of San Diego do now have blue lights. Another example is a city particularly close to us. SUNY Binghamton and the city collectively brainstormed on the addition of these lights to the city. Unfortunately, the school ended up backing out financially, but was successfully able to supply blue lights inside parking garages, which brings me to my next point. Next slide, please. Our city collectively is always talking about the hospital downtown. To ensure the staff can walk to their car without feeling safe feels like an obvious. I would like to especially include a light on the premise of the hospital. Change slide, please. If you don't remember me from October, I was also at the meeting with the people from the garden, but I am a member of the Youth Common Council. When sharing this idea at one of our previous meetings, some members expressed immense interest. From there, we polled our followers on Instagram. Together, us four heard from 300 people, ages 16 to 24, all expressing their urge for in addition to having these lights in Utica. Next slide, please. So, moving on to the cost of these light systems, one light ranges from $6,000 to $8,000. However, we also spoke to Utica College and SUNY Poly. They said they only paid between $2,600 and $5,000. I'm asking today to add 5 to 7 lights in our city this year when discussing budgeting. With that, I also ask that 2 lights are added per year. Now, you must be wondering where. Next slide, please. When brainstorming this idea, I thought most about the downtown area as well as Cornhill. However, there is also the idea of Parkway, hospitals, the walking bridge in West Utica, public parks, Varick Street, surrounding areas of MVCC, and more. When I did a poll, I also asked about where members of the community saw these lights most fit. They said, and I quote, near bus stops, city streets, near bars where alcohol is present, Mohawk Street, low-light areas, the odd, and an overall emphasis on downtown Utica. Overall, I had 30 people sharing different places they feel these lights are necessary. I would like to also bring up the idea some of you may be considering, our cell phones. Whether you have the newest iPhone or a flip phone, they all are able to call 911. However, these lights serve to make a community feel safe and offering the community a secured way to get a hold of emergency responders. So we can't always depend on our battery of our phone because I don't know about you guys, but my phone dies very quickly. So so when I thought about this, they were all going to be downtown, and then with downtown comes nights out, restaurants, phones die quickly. Next slide, please. So today I am asking for one member of the council to sponsor this idea to fit these lights into budgeting to provide 5 to 7 posts around the city to ensure a safer environment. My goal was and is to provide a crime deterrent. However, this idea sprouted from protection against sexual assault. As seen on the slide is a statistic. It reads, 87% of American women between 18 to 24 have been harassed by a male. This statistic is a prime example of an additional usage of the blue lights. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, this is Councilman Beatrice.
Hi.
All right, first thing I want to tell you, I think you've done a wonderful, wonderful job, and I'm very, very impressed by your knowledge and your professionalism, that you could come up with something like this. My other thing is, I would support this. What I'm suggesting, and maybe my other council people will get on with me, there's a big difference between $8 and what did you say, $8,000 and $10,000, and then you went to the college and they said they get them for $2,600. I think if you could come back to the council with proof or a way that we could pay $2,600, I think that's a big difference between $8,000 and $10,000, and I would be all in favor of that. And even if maybe we didn't do that many lights, if we did, to start out with 2 or 3 in an area to see how it worked. But I think you have I was very impressed because my first question to you was going to be, everybody has a cell phone today, and you were prepared for that. And like I said, I'm very, very impressed by your presentation, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, and thank you for the feedback.
I got a question, Emma.
Okay.
Councilman Williamson. That's been that good training you got, right? But anyways, I got a question. Do these things have cameras on them? Because before your time, there was payphones, and payphones used to get pretty destroyed on the streets. And are there cameras on these blue phones?
So I believe that there are cameras on these phones, these poles. I know they are also sustainable to weather, and they usually have like something a software program on top, so that yes, I believe there is a camera, but I'm not 100% sure, just like 99%.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one question, Majority Leader McNeil.
You have the floor, Neola.
Emma, you did a wonderful job. I like the presentation. I like the way the blue lights look. But I think my colleagues might want a purchase cost price, installation price, and possibly the price of who's going to pay the power for it also. I'm not sure that if you got National Grid contributing the power for these things, but I think, from start to finish, we need the facts about it, and I think they can make a very well-informed decision after that.
Okay.
Thank you very much for a wonderful job.
Thank you. That's a good point. I will get back to you guys with that.
Thank you so much, Emma. Any other questions for Emma?
No questions. I just wanted to chime in with what everyone else is saying. Emma, you did a great job. I think that no matter the outcome of this, I think that we'll be able to get some things done like this. But I just think that looking back a few months ago, this is the type of things that we were looking and hoping that the youth council would do, bring ideas to the council, and you did a tremendous job tonight. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much.
I have one more question, Madam Majority Leader.
Councilman Beatrice, you have the floor.
Emma, I'm going to request one other thing from you. In my area is part of the 6th Ward is North Utica, is a major area where we have a ton of hotels. And I know you mentioned downtown, and a lot of times North Genesee is tied into downtown. And we have the harbor project coming within the next year or so. And I would like down the road to be considered at least 1 or 2 of them in the north area, if we ever get to that point. And I agree with Councilman Miola. He was one step ahead of me as far as saying, the other in detail, we were on the same page, but there is other factors beside just the cost of the equipment. But thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. And I think when we discussed this, our emphasis was on downtown with restaurants, but hotels is a large part of tourism, so That's
And we
definitely
have,
going to.
in our area over in North Utica, over there, unfortunately, in my area, is probably the biggest area in the city for motels and hotels. And there is a lot of, you know, I don't want to say problems, but we do have a lot of homeless and a lot of different people living in those hotels. So it would be quite important to have, you know, if we just decide to go that route, to have a couple within distance on North Genesee Street. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? At this point, meeting adjourned. Is there a second?
Beatrice.
So we'll just hang tight until the regular meeting goes
All right,
back in session
we are
at
going to
7.
begin. Yeah, we're going to begin the regular meeting at 7:05. I have a couple things that I need to take care of. We also have 2 public comment speakers that I have to dial into the meeting. So I will be 7:05. The meeting will go live. February 3rd, 2021. I'm going to ask now for the feed to go live. Thank you. We're going to call this meeting to order. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
McNeil, Burmaster, Friend, Miola, Moody, Beatrice, Williamson, Lometico, DeBrango, Galimi, all present.
Thank you. We're now going to begin by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
United
America,
States of America,
to the
to the republic
republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under
under
God.
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for
justice
all.
for all.
Now we'll have a short moment of silence for the deceased members of the council. Thank you. Okay, our first order of business this evening, as usual, is public hearing. We have no public hearings scheduled for this evening, so the public hearing is now closed. We're going to move on to the minutes, which I do have before us. Is there a motion that anyone would like to make about these minutes?
I'll make a motion to dispense of them.
Okay, is there a second? That was
Councilman Beatrice.
all right. So the first was McNeil, second Beatrice. Quick roll call vote. McNeil. Burmaster.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Miola.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Beatrice.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Lometico.
Yay.
DeBrango.
Yes.
All right, the minutes have been dispensed. Thank you very much. The next order of business is actually going to be public comment this evening. We're bringing public comment back, and we do have two speakers signed up to speak for public comment. They are Kathy Caruso and Stefan Rubitsky. Stefan, sorry about that. The first speaker this evening will be Kathy Caruso. If you could please unmute yourself just to make sure we do have audio.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, the Common Council does have posted the public comment period rule. This has to do with speaking to city business, etc., especially decorum within the council. You will have 4 minutes if you'd like to begin. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for allowing me this time. My name is Kathy Caruso. I am a resident of New Hartford, but I am a Utica taxpayer. My husband's family has had a vested interest in the city of Utica for many, many years, going back to when my father-in-law was mayor and then later went on to sit on the Common Council. I co-lead a parent advocacy group for individuals with autism and non-communicative disabilities with Kelly Britton. She is a fellow special needs mom. Our organization has a dual focus, and we do meet in the city of Utica, just so you know, at our local church, Redeemer. But it is not limited to just Redeemer. It is citywide and countywide. Our organization has a dual focus of helping other parents, as most support groups do, but we also pursue avenues and initiatives that create valued outcomes for our precious loved ones for both now and in the future. And as the city leaders and the voices that people respond to most, I am inviting you to our latest initiative and mission, and that is to build a stronger community between your first responders and individuals with autism and their families. I have sent invites to your police chief, Mr. Mark Williams, your fire chief, Mr. Scott Ingersoll, and other people within their departments. I'm hoping for a favorable response, as we have partnered with an organization out of New Jersey called Blue Bridge. It is headed up by a decorated police captain who brings an incredible skill set to the table of not only interaction with people with autism, but he himself is also a father of an individual with severe autism. many times, and please know that this initiative is not a come at you to the first responders, it's a come to them. We want to build strong relationships for our loved ones because they can't communicate for themselves. So we have to get in front of them and do it for them. And if we build better relationships with first responders in the future, now and in the future, they'll have a much better valued outcome when they need the services of our trusted and respected first responders. Our first responders do not know how to approach these situations, as they are very difficult. When you have somebody that doesn't communicate with autism, 9 times out of 10, the family is also escalated. It doesn't bring for a good outcome, and we want to change that. So that's why we are partnering with Captain Jerry at Blue Bridge to bring this forum, this free virtual event, Better Together. Our organization has paid the bill. So all we're asking is that you reach out to your city's first responders and invite them to this forum so that they can add to their skill set, and it'll be much better for all of us in the end. And I appreciate and thank you all for your time. If I could please get you the link to this training, I will do that, and then you can register for it. And please reach to your first responders under your authority to let them know that this is something that hopefully you would want them to do for the betterment of the individuals in your city. I feel that Utica is a leader in this, and that the smaller towns and villages, they'll follow the city's lead. And I just hope this is really something that you all will be involved with in helping to spread the word for this initiative. Thank you.
Stefan, sorry, I was muted. I apologize. The second, Kathy, thank you very much. Not sure if you heard me closing that off for you, and you may stay on the rest of the meeting as long as you have your microphone muted. Thank you. Stefan Rubitsky is our second public comment speaker this evening. Stefan, if you could unmute yourself and make sure your microphone is working.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, you will have 4 minutes, Stefan. Please, please begin. Thank you.
Okay, now that it's winter time, people need to get outside more in the winter and in the winter months. And I feel downtown.
Kathy Caruso has left the meeting.
I feel maybe downtown by where Whitesboro Street starts and by Hotel Street in that field there could be an outdoor skating rink for people to enjoy the winter weather and go ice skating. And our community is big on hockey and skating, and it'll get people into skating and maybe eventually into hockey, and maybe the Parks Department can get on board with this and maybe help out with it. Thank you.
Stefan, thank you very much. You are welcome to listen in on the rest of the meeting. I'm going to mute you for the rest of the evening. Thank you for your comments. Okay, that concludes the public comment period. Thank you very much. Next order of business is communications from the mayor and other departments, miscellaneous communications and cash reports. That's what I meant to say. Clerk?
There are no miscellaneous communications tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next order of business, reports from the department heads. Deputy Chief Noonan, I would like to call upon UPD first. Are you representing the UPD this evening?
I am, Mr. President. I don't have anything to report. I just want to commend Emma Ferguson. She's my neighbor, and she did an outstanding job with that presentation. And if the funding were to become available, I think it's a great idea. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chief Ingersoll, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. I'd just like to say that the fire department will be participating in the autism spectrum awareness training at the end of the month. As a father of, my son is in the autism spectrum, and I've dealt with this for 16 plus years, and I think it's definitely an important thing that the fire department participate in.
Thank you very much. Corporation Counsel, Catherine Hartnett, you have the floor.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas.
Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you very much. We do have Marcus Phillips from the Codes Department. Do you have anything to report this evening?
I don't have anything to report, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes communications from the department heads. We're going to move on to petitions, remonstrances, appeals, and legislation from the floor. First District and Majority Leader Maria McNeil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to let everyone know that I had the pleasure of going over and signing the final beam that was to be placed on MVHS. They placed that beam, I believe it was today or yesterday at 10 o'clock. And with that being said, I'd like to have Bob Schofield in to just kind of give us an update. It's been a while since we've had them come in and kind of give us an idea of where they're at, where we're going, and with that happening. So with that being said, if everyone else is okay with it, I'd like to schedule him to come and speak with us and kind of give us an update at the next meeting. Does anyone have an objection to that?
Would you like the floor for the 17th?
Yeah, is everyone okay with Bob Schofield coming and speaking with us and kind of giving us an update, and that way we can ask him any questions we may have and see where the project is and how far along they are. I know it's been a little bit, but I think an open line of communication is the best course of action at this point, so we all can get what we need.
It's a grand idea. I can put him on the agenda for the 17th for the main meeting, councilperson. Okay.
All right.
And a quick question: Can that also be for other items concerning COVID and the shots and how they're doing with their nursing staff?
So if I could ask the clerk to email him, and if you don't have his email, I'll send you over his email. So if Melissa, if you'd like that, I'll send that to you, and maybe you could ask him if he could come and speak regarding updates with what's going on, as well as what Councilperson LaMedico is asking about.
Sure, absolutely. If you could send it to me, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Madam Majority Leader, you may want to ask him if I know I listen every morning that Dr. Kent Hall, who he would answer more of Jack's questions. He's very accessible. He may want to join him also, so just a suggestion.
All right, so a couple things. I appreciate all the input here. One, we need to address the chair if we're going to request the floor. Two, this is petitions, remonstrances, and appeals. And when a council person takes the floor, if you'd like to speak, you should request the floor from that person. But we need, council person, you have the floor again. Thank you.
All right, so if the clerk could please take all of that information down, and I'll send you over the email. If you could just address him and see if he can come in for this, I believe it's the 17th.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Will do.
So
You're welcome.
there's that, and that'll be all for what I have to say. We'll move forward with ordinance number 1, the transfer of funds from 2020-2021 fiscal year. It is going from A57310-102 youth wages
to A51315-206, comptroller software, in the amount of $60,500.
Your votes, McNeil. Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. That was Moody. McNeil,
Yes.
Burmaster,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Miola,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Beatrice,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Lemetico,
Yay.
DeBrango.
Yes.
9 yeas adopted.
Next, I will be moving resolution number 4. It is Commissioner of Deeds for Kimberly Boeing.
Is there a second?
Burmaster.
Thank you. Your votes.
Stefan Rubitsky
Has left the meeting.
McNeil,
Yes.
Burmaster,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Miola,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Beatrice,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Lemetico,
Yay.
DeBrango.
Yes.
9 yeas adopted.
Thank you.
Next, I'll be moving resolution number 5. It is a Commissioner of Deeds for James Zecca, Michael Galimi, Samantha Testa, Russell Brooks, Michael Gentile, Marianne Brooks, and Sandra DePerno.
Is there a second?
Burmaster, second.
Thank you. Your votes, McNeil. McNeil, we didn't catch that.
Yes.
Thank you. Burmaster,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Miola,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Beatrice,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Lemetico,
Yay.
DeBrango.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Remember to mute yourselves if you're not speaking. Thank you.
9 yeas adopted.
Anything else this evening, Majority Leader?
The next will be the zoning plan. I'd like to move forward.
All right. You're moving this. Would you like me to summarize this, or would you like to summarize it?
You're more than welcome to summarize it. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a second before I read this?
Burmaster.
All right. Thank you. Ordinance establishing zoning regulations for the city of Utica, whereas pursuant to New York General City Law 20, the city of Utica is authorized. Yes, excuse me.
You can amend it.
It's
Okay.
moved. It's moved.
Yeah, but we would have to amend the date first, then you can read into the record, Mr. President.
Well, actually,
it was out of committee.
It is.
Hold on. That's what I was just going to say. We need to pull this from committee. So, McNeil, could you please make a motion to pull from committee?
I move to pull this
Thank you.
from committee.
Thank you. Who's the second on that?
DeBrango.
Miola.
Miola's the second on it. All right. Quick vote. Pull it on a committee. McNeil.
Yes.
Burmaster.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Miola.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Beatrice.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Lemetico.
Yay.
DeBrango.
Yes.
Thank you. It's out of committee. Would someone like to make 2 amendments? We need to amend it to read December 16th, even though it does read it right here. And we also need to amend it to read February 3rd in the be it further ordained.
I would like, if you would like me to do it, Mr. President.
By all means, yes.
I would like to make a motion to amend the public hearing proportion of this legislation to December 16th, 2020. And I'd like to make an additional motion to amend the effective date to be today's date, February 3rd, 2021.
We'll just do that as one motion since you put it all in one. Is there a second?
Beatrice.
Thank you. All right, your votes. McNeil.
Yes.
Burmaster,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Miola,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Beatrice,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Lemetico,
Yay.
DeBrango.
Yes.
Okay, this is now amended to read, whereas pursuant to New York General City Law 20, the City of Utica is authorized to adopt zoning regulations, whereas the City of Utica last conducted a significant update to its zoning map and zoning ordinance in 1994, and whereas the City of Utica Common Council adopted new comprehensive plan for the city in late 2011, and a zoning map and zoning ordinance are two of the primary tools by which communities can implement a comprehensive plan. Moving on, whereas a public hearing on the proposed zoning ordinance was held on December 16th, 2020. I'm going to mute the microphones that are active because I hear a bunch of stuff on the line. Thank you. Whereas by resolution dated July 15th, 2020, and pursuant to section 229-123, the city code, the planning board has extensively reviewed the proposed zoning ordinance and finds it acceptable and that its adoption is in the best interest of the city. Ordained that ordinance number 13 of 1994 and all amendments thereto are hereby rescinded, annulled, and superseded by this ordinance, and be it further ordained that the Common Council of the City of Utica, New York hereby establishes zoning regulations for the City of Utica, New York, and provides for the administration and enforcement thereof pursuant to General City Law, Section 20 as follows. See attached Exhibit A, which I will display shortly after finishing the text. Official copy on file at the city clerk's office. Be it further ordained that effective date of this ordinance shall be February 3rd, 2021, and until such a time as this ordinance does become effective, Ordinance 313 of 1994 as amended shall apply, and be it further ordained that any structure for which a permit has been lawfully granted or any use for which certificate of occupancy has been issued prior to the effective date of this ordinance may be completed or occupied in accordance with any approved plans, provided construction is started or occupied established within 90 days of the issuance of said building permit or certificate of occupancy, and all construction is diligently prosecuted to completion. And be it further ordained that prior to publication, E-Code 360 of Rochester, New York is hereby authorized to renumber the sections and subdivisions of this ordinance to confirm the numbering system used in the existing Utica City Code. Now, I have to ask Commissioner Thomas, is the reference to Rochester correct here before we vote on this?
I believe Kate
I just checked it with Kate.
could address it better,
Yes.
but I believe that's who codifies our the ordinance. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then I was going to ask Kate next. I'm going around on this one, Miola, because that was interesting to read Rochester, New York, in our ordinance. Hartnett?
Yes, that's E-Code 360 performs our
They're
codification.
based in Rochester. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, they're based in Rochester.
All right.
All right.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Thank you
Anything
very
else?
much.
Or?
No, I think we're good. I'm going to display the map really quick. This is the map. It's available on the city website. It's also available on our E-Code 360 for people to view if this does pass when it's brought to a vote. We also have the draft, which will be obviously final after the vote if it does pass. This is the full zoning text. It's 160 pages long and does contain all of the new information that will be governing the city zoning code. Okay, your votes. McNeil. McNeil.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Burmaster.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Miola.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Beatrice.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Lemetico.
Yay.
DeBrango.
Yes.
Dine's adopted.
Council, thank you very much. This was a lot of work, and all of you participated. along with a lot of the different departments in the city. So this is a pretty big step. Thank you. Okay. Majority Leader, you have the floor. It's still your remonstrances.
I'm all set this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Second District, Councilman Burmaster, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to take this time to tell you how much I appreciated Emma's presentation tonight. It was outstanding, and I thought she did a wonderful job. Secondly, I'd like to thank Dave Short and his crew for taking care of the streets the way they did the last few days, and it's the little things that people don't see, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have this time.
Thank you so much. Councilperson Friend, Third District, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to second both what Mr. Burmaster just said. Emma, of course, did a really great presentation. The more that I get to know Emma Ferguson, the more impressed I am. I thought that was great. And I also, big shout out to the DPW. You know, they've been working really hard, and I believe that there's more snow on the way. So no rest for the weary, but they really do a great job, and I think it's often invisible to many of us, all that hard work that they do. I would like to encourage residents of the city to please, if you can, shovel your sidewalk. We're in that time of year where we all see it, people forced to walk out in the street, which is always really worrisome. I worry about people getting hit by cars, obviously. So I would really like to encourage people that if they can shovel their sidewalk, please do so. And if you can't, try to perhaps find someone who will help you. So I would really like to see all of us, the whole city, we need to, I think, do a better job of figuring out. I think it's a very difficult thing to figure out, but I'd like to see the sidewalks be more clear for pedestrians in the wintertime. So that's all I have for tonight. I do have a couple of quick pieces of legislation. So I would like to bring forward resolution number 3, which is a marriage officer. Be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 49 of the laws of New York, the Common Council does hereby appoint the following person as marriage officer. The term shall commence February 3rd, 2021 until December 31, 2021. And this is for our Deputy Clerk, David Butler, 170 Melrose Ave, Utica.
Is there a second?
Beatrice.
Thank you. All right, your votes. McNeil.
Yes.
Burmaster.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Miola.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Beatrice.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Medico.
Yay.
Brango.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then I would like to introduce resolution number 6 in order to commit it to, I believe the Committee of the Whole would be a good place for it, or perhaps Parks and Recreation. I'm happy with either of those committees. So this is proposed resolution number 6, a Utica Garden Walk. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a resolution, a non-binding resolution to support and endorse a garden walk, a Utica garden walk for the city of Utica. The first inaugural one would be this coming summer. This would be a purely voluntary garden walk. This is something other cities do that other cities have found very beneficial. I would like to introduce this and commit it. I don't know if I can I do that in a single motion?
Yes, you can. Introduce and commit is the motion. Is there a second?
Brango.
Beatrice.
All right.
Second motion to commit to committee.
Yeah. We got lots of seconds. Clerk, if you could pick one and put it in the minutes, that would be good. Your votes. McNeil.
Yes.
Thank you. Burmaster.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Yola.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Beatrice,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Lomatico,
Yay.
Durango.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, it's in
And
committee.
that is all I have. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you very much. 4th District and President Pro Temp Frank Miola, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I like to move the marriage officer request, which is proposed resolution number 2. Be it resolved, Chapter 49 of Laws of New York, 1998, the Common Council does hereby appoint the following person for marriage officer for a term of February 3rd, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. Denise Gregory, residing at 651 James Street, Utica, New York, 13501. Further be it resolved, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second?
Beatrice.
Second.
All right, Moody's the second on that one. McNeil, your vote.
Yes.
Burmaster,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Moody, or sorry, Miola,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Beatrice,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Lomatico,
Yay.
Durango.
Yes.
9 E's adopted.
Thank you. Councilman Miola, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to briefly do a shout out for Mayor Palmieri. He's announcing the public scheduling for the federal funds. So those of us who are nonprofit organizations seeking federal funds, please apply as soon as possible. The deadline is February, which is a Friday, the 26th. And these are funds that are available through HUD, Community Develop, which is Community Develop, CDBG money, and the Home Investment Partnership, and the Energy Solution Grant. So those of us who are nonprofit, please have your applications as soon as possible sent into the City of Utica. The website is available, which is www.cityofutica.com. Or you can also call for a clarification Chris Lawrence. He's a principal planner of urban economic development, and his telephone number is area code 315-792-0181. Once again, the nonprofits in the area, please submit your applications as soon as possible. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you very much. 5th District, Councilman Moody, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do echo what Councilman Miola was saying in terms of federal funding, the HUD dollars. It is very important. A lot of nonprofits in the area, particularly those who serve Cornhill, really rely on those fundings. And so to echo his sentiments in terms of nonprofits being able to apply for those funds. I also want to mention, want to thank the mayor again. One of the things that was a concern for me when running for office was the James Street Senior Center. We have gotten numerous complaints about the center and that the back part of the roof was decaying, and really the building was beyond the point of being saved. A few weeks ago that construction commenced and the building is now demolished. Looking forward to the rubbish being removed very soon. But I think it also points out the fact that there is a lot of economic development potential in Cornhill. And so I'm looking forward to working with the mayor and other community partners to put a building there that will not only serve the needs of Cornhill, but also be an economic engine for the area. That's all I have for tonight, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. 6th District, Councilman Beatrice, you now have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I don't want to be redundant, but I want to speak on what Councilman Burmaster and Councilperson Friend said as far as DPW doing a great job. And also, Emma Ferguson, she did a great job. So that's what I wanted to say. And the main thing I wanted to say, I want to thank the whole administration and all of my fellow councilmen by the mayor's presentation of the budget the other day. In this very, very tough times, to see a 0% increase, 0% tax increase for the residents of the city, I thought was very great. And part of that was some of the tough decisions that we made last year. So I think we should be, proud of that. And then I'd like to pull out resolution number 7. Okay, it's Commissioner of Deeds. Resolved that the Common Council does hereby appoint the following person as a Commissioner of Deeds in the city of Utica for a 2-year term, commencing February 3rd, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2022. Regina Ann Venatozzi, 523 Tamarack Street, Utica, New York. Okay, that's all I have tonight,
Second?
Mr. President.
All right, well, hold on. You're not done.
second it.
Thank you. All right. That was Burmaster with the second. All right, your votes. McNeil,
Yes.
Burmaster,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Miola,
Yes.
Moody, Beatrice,
Yep.
Yes.
Lomatico,
Yay.
DeBrango, DeBrango.
Yes.
There he is. I was like, oh no, we lost him. All right.
Forgot somebody.
None adopted.
Oh, Williamson. Hold on. It wasn't 98. Williamson.
Yes.
Oh, I thought I.
Thank you. No, I skipped him. Sorry about that. All right, we got all 9 now.
Okay, Mr. President, that's all I have tonight.
I believe that's not all you have, unless you want to not sponsor this legislation this evening. You do have number 9.
Oh, okay.
Elizabeth Venatozzi.
Okay, where is number 9?
Or no, it's number 8. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. Commissioner of Deeds resolved the Common Council does hereby appoint the following person as Commissioner of Deeds in for the city of Utica for a 2-year term, commencing February 3rd, 2021, ending December 31st, 2022. Lauren Elizabeth Venatozzi, 523 Tamarack Street, Utica, New York, 13502.
Is there a second?
Burmaster.
All right, your votes, McNeil.
Yes.
Thank you. Burmaster.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Miola.
Yes.
Moody.
Yep.
Beatrice.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Lomatico.
Yay.
DeBrango.
Yes.
98 adopted.
All right, anything else this evening, Councilman Beatrice?
No, thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Council at Large and Minority Leader, Mark Williamson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like I said, Emma Ferguson, outstanding job, as well as the rest of the Youth Common Council coming together and putting that together. And the strong work of the DPW as well over the last couple of days. And the commission, with the reform with the police. And it's still a good working document. I think we've gone far with it. And but at the same time, we're just going to press forward with it. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Council at Large, Jack Lomatico, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hate to be redundant, but Emily, you did a great job. Congratulations. Keep it up, and keep that junior council going. We'd like to hear more from you. Streets have been great. We've gotten a lot of snow this year, and they've done a great job keeping them clear. And I'd like to thank the budget director and the mayor and everyone else involved for getting that 0 increase to us this year. And we'll see what we could do to it, and hopefully we won't screw it up too much. But thank you, Mr. President. That's it.
Thank you. Council at large, Frank DeBrango, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't believe we have any legislation left. Am I right? I don't see it on the screen. So
Let's check here. Done. Set. Yeah, we're good.
Did them all.
Yep.
okay. First of all, Commissioner Thomas, great job on that zoning. I know it took a while. It was years in the making, but we finally got through it. I think all the council had their say in it. Thank your staff as well. We finally passed it, so it allowed us to get us some grant money headed our way to Utica, New York. So that's a good thing. I want to thank Delvin, and I want to thank Deputy Chief Noonan for the briefing on the police reform, as well as Marcus Phillips. We had a 5 o'clock public safety meeting today, and they kind of give us a briefing on what's going to maybe take place with our department, making some changes for the better, of course. So I think it was a great conversation. Everybody was involved, all the council person, and I think we're heading in the right direction with that. With that said, everybody be safe, and thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, Mr. President, it's Councilman Beatrice.
Do you have one more thing?
Yeah, I got one more thing.
All right.
As far as we keep saying how great the city did plowing the streets, and they have, but if we can, let's reach out to our residents to help out our fire department wherever we can, to because there's a lot of snow now, to make sure our fire hydrants are shoveled out, and wherever we do our sidewalks wherever possible. Even a lot of the businesses where it's important in my area. I know North Genesee Street. If they could just get out there and shovel, so we don't have people walking in the road, shovel their own property. But that's all I wanted to say. And thank you, and have a great night.
All right. Thank you. All right, so I've got a few things. I'm not going to reiterate anything, just one thing. Congratulations on Emma Ferguson and the Youth Council for an extremely strong proposal. It was greatly appreciated, and it was really nice to see something that you really brought to the table that really immediately got a lot of buy-in from the council, and I thought that was it was just good. It was just a good time. Second thing, budget. I'd like to congratulate the administration on getting another budget presented to E&A on time, first Monday in February. It's nice to see that teamwork come together. Now that it's on the desks of E&A, we will look forward to parsing through that and get it to the council most likely early. February 20th is when it's due. But I've already spent a good time with it. I know Councilman Lometico has. I have some meetings with the budget director to just go over some things. But we will move through that process and get that budget to the council officially as soon as possible. Next thing, we've had a ton of snow. I was going to mention the fire hydrants. Very good point, Councilman Beatrice. If anyone can snow blow around and shovel those fire hydrants, that's huge. And keeps us all safer if you do it ahead of time. The plow crews, excellent work. 2 nights in a row they were out. Kept the streets clear. I've been driving all over the place, and they've really done a good job. I know there was a rumor floating around that there was some cuts in that department. And that's not true. I just want to put that out there if anyone's listening. The plow crews were fully staffed and doing a great job. Next thing, Parkway, sledding. I was out with my kids Sunday. I would like all the council people to make sure they remind everyone they see that we have one of the best sledding hills in the city, or in the area, I should say, at the Parkway. It's really great location. You can park right at the bottom of the sledding hill, walk up the hill. It's awesome. Had some people reach out about the ski hill and the chairlift. That's a running conversation. I've been going back and forth with Commissioner Short for quite some time. We did talk about it this week, and if anyone does ask, we cannot operate the chairlift this particular year. However, we do maintain it and make sure it is operational at all times. What happened is the person that inspects the chairlift is on a rotating schedule. It goes all over the country to inspect these lifts, and due to the shutdowns and the coronavirus travel restrictions, we couldn't get the lift inspected this year. So if you can, get to the ski hill and the sledding hill and use it while we can, because it's awesome. There was a lot of kids having fun. That's all I have this evening. So if anyone else, if no one else has anything from the floor, I'd offer that you can make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Neil.
All right, I believe that was a motion to adjourn. So everyone have a great evening, and a lot of work went into tonight's meeting across the board, so thank you all.